COVID-19 is like being in a war with an invisible enemy. We are not capable of how we are supposed to defend and protect ourselves. Therefore, we need a reliable and well-founded leader whom we can depend on in this kind of critical events in our society. However, President Rodrigo Duterte, our current head of state, imposed a militarized response to COVID-19, in which this leads to a common dilemma from his tactics of war on drugs program. Considering the unexpected and difficult situation brought by the pandemic COVID-19, we claim that the Philippine government response to COVID-19 pandemic caused fear and repercussion among Filipino citizens.
The Philippine government has no prompt action to stem the spreading of the virus, unlike other countries. Last year, the government implemented stringent lockdowns but failed to improve the health system's capacity to deal with an outbreak. This contributed to the sharp surge of COVID-19 cases in April, prompting Duterte to declare martial law in the capital district and adjacent provinces, which further harmed the economy, wherein the poor were the most affected as the government fails to give enough public health and safety assistance. 6 out of 10 Filipinos became hungry and 5.5 million of Filipinos were driven into poverty. Although the global catastrophe is first and foremost a public health concern, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has taken a militaristic approach to the coronavirus outbreak. Since the lockdown began, he has prompted the idea that undisciplined citizens are to blame for the resulting difficulties. He's also made false claims about guerrilla organizations posing a threat to government aid initiatives while refusing to admit any management errors. In addition to deploying thousands of police and troops across the archipelago to execute the ECQ, Duterte has led to the public to fear with martial law on 2 occasions. Although there have been instances of sheer failure on the part of those in power in the world, using the epidemic as a pretext for aggressively flexing authoritarian muscles against signals trouble for the Philippines following the lockdown.
In conclusion to this, the Philippine response and approach to COVID-19 has been ineffective, although it has been recognized as one of the world's longest and most restricted lockdowns. The use of masks and social distancing were tightly enforced. An entire region and city were placed under lockdown, and to guarantee that order was maintained and that all health regulations were followed, the government relied heavily on the police and military. The government concentrated on describing how the war centered around COVID-19 being presented as an existential danger. But obviously, the management didn't take any account from any behavior to improve the health system during this pandemic. It appeared to be fighting the virus with an iron fist, and Duterte was warned that take action if Filipinos continue to lack discipline. Apparently, this approach doesn't give any safety assurance for being better living. The Philippines government must shift its focus apart from the pandemic and toward assisting the poor in staying afloat.